if you're really feeling it tonight. Come on, come on. Yes. All right, so, hi everybody. I am Juju Green, aka Straw Hat Goofy. Hopefully, you're a movie guy if you guys follow me anywhere. I'm also the host of the Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy podcast. And I love movies. It's literally my whole life. I love talking about them. I love connecting with people about them. And usually what I love to do is watch a movie at the theater, then go in the parking lot with my friends, and we just chop it up, right? We just chop it up about it. But it's not so often you actually get to chop it up with the people who actually made the movie, and that's exactly what we're going to do here tonight. We're going to do some giveaways. We're going to just have a lot of fun here tonight. So what we're about to do is introduce the makers and creators of the film. First off, director Joseph Kosinski. Come out here, man. Next up, we have the actors. We have Kerry Condon. You guys know him, you love him. I'm sure a lot of you guys hope he's the next Black Panther or James Bond. Damson Idris. Please do not ask him about that role. I got you. And last but certainly not least, if you even have a heartbeat, you've probably seen a movie that he's been a part of. He is a legend producer of F1. Everyone please welcome Jerry Bruckheimer. All right, now let's all take our seats. And before we get started, I just want you guys to know that once the conclusion of this Q&A is finished, make sure you stay in your seats, give everyone here a chance to leave and exit in an orderly fashion. And yeah, let's jump into it, because I have a lot of questions, because this film is amazing. It's awesome. Has anybody here seen this movie multiple times? Whoa!
Wow! 14 times.
14 times? What? 14?
Almost as many as you.
I didn't know this was a competition, but you won. You won. Dang, she got two Labubu's too, so she got the cash to do it.
Everyone put their hands up. That's so cool.
Oh, it's great. This is my third time itself. It's not 14, but 3 is pretty good. It's not bad. Okay. We're hoping to get the world record.
You gotta beat me.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for coming.
Fun fact, Joe was back there saying, I can't watch this movie again. Not again. You've seen it enough. But here's the thing. I feel like this year we've been kind of spoiled with the IMAX experience. I feel like a lot of audience members are starting to really find the true joy and meaning behind IMAX, what it means to experience something like this. You have Sinners, you got Avatar coming out later this year. Obviously Dune was last year, but I feel like F1 is like a staple in the IMAX experience now. When we think of this, IMAX is what we think of. Can you talk to me about kind of like people experiencing this in IMAX and you shooting it and hoping that they catch on to it? And it seems from this turnout, people really are loving it.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I started this project, one of the first things that Lewis Hamilton said to me is, he said, I've never had a film really capture what it feels like to be in one of these cars. And so that was the challenge that I set myself and all of us to, was to really give you guys the experience of what it's like to be in one of these incredible machines. And so we were always thinking about IMAX. This is the first film I've done where the IMAX version is full frame from start to finish. If you watch closely, Sonny's first dream is in 239, but once he wakes up, we go full IMAX and carry it all the way through. And when you go to an IMAX theater, the picture's gonna be bright, the sound is gonna be turned up to where it should be. They check all their theaters every day and monitor them to make sure they're right to spec, and then you get this beautiful, gorgeous screen. So it's an incredible way to see this film, and something that I was thinking about right from the start.
A movie moment. I love whenever I'm in a theater and I get the movie moment, and you come right out of the gate with this one with that beautiful shot on the track with the fireworks going off, and it's hardly ever when I get a shot that just makes me melt in my seat and go, and that shot did that for me. But something that I feel that's underrated in the IMAX experience is the idea of sound. And sound, I feel I'm obsessed with sound in your films. Like I was obsessed with it in Top Gun Maverick, and just even more so here. And I have a feeling you're obsessed with sound as well. Can you speak to the importance of sound when it comes to a film such as that one?
I mean, I think sound is even, it's almost like 51% sound, 49% picture when it comes to a movie. Sound carries so much emotion with it, whether it's the music or the sound effects. I had Skywalker Sound, the team up there who also worked on Top Gun Maverick. We worked for 18 months on the sound for this movie. We went to every race. We recorded what real F1 cars sound like. We had onboard mics. We mixed this movie for 7 weeks, which is a very long time to be in a final mix to get it right. But I knew Lewis Hamilton was going to be listening to this mix. And Lewis can tell, just by sound, what turn you're on a circuit. He can tell if you can hear the echo from the pit wall. Like, he is that precise. So the first time, we played a sequence for him, he showed us what we were doing wrong. And so, the bar was very high with him. And, I just have to give a lot of credit to our incredible mix team who worked tirelessly to bring this mix to life.
So other than yourself, you're saying Lewis Hamilton is your toughest critic?
He's a pretty, on a movie like this, he was tough, but that's why we partnered with him. That's why Jerry and I wanted him to produce this movie with us, was because we needed someone that lives and breathes this every day in order to get that authenticity. And, Lewis, beyond being an incredible driver, he really is a really creative, curious person and is really interested in film and music. So for him, it was an opportunity to learn about filmmaking, and for us, it was an opportunity to learn about his world. So it was a really beautiful marriage, between all of us to put this together.
And we can totally feel as an audience just how much care that went into it, and the authenticity when it comes to sound, picture, and just kind of living with the drivers and the cars and things. We'll get more into that later, because as someone who doesn't know anything about F1 driving, I felt like I learned a lot from this film, and I feel like a lot of audience members learned that as well. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but one thing I really want to talk about is that this is clearly an underdog story. And I've been making a joke saying this is the most expensive underdog story that's ever been made. It's the biggest underdog story that's ever been made, in my opinion. And when you put those things together, something as big as this, but the story of an underdog is usually very small and grounded. Can you talk to me about balancing those two and creating an underdog story in IMAX with F1, making it as big as possible? What is the key to making that happen?
I mean, I was really inspired by, like a lot of people, I learned about F1 in watching Drive to Survive during COVID. And that first season, Ferrari and Mercedes and Red Bull didn't participate. So the makers of that show were forced to focus on the last, the last place teams, the guys who go out and lose every weekend. And that's what I was fascinated by. I was like, I don't want to make a movie about the guys who go out and win every weekend. I want to make a movie about the guys who lose every weekend. What is that like? And that's kind of where the idea of Apex GP came from, and this idea of a team that had not only not won a race, they had never even scored a point, which means they'd never finished in the top 10, and it was getting to the point where they had to win one race to save the team. Because that to me felt like a really interesting goal. Not winning the championship, not beating Ferrari and Red Bull, but just winning one race. And that's kind of where this all started, in this notion of a veteran and a rookie driver, and the kind of the tension that comes from two different generations, two guys who seem very different on the outside, but end up finding out that they're actually very similar. To me, was interesting.
Funny enough, it reminded me a lot of the plot of Cars 3. It was like Cars 3, live action, more stakes. That's the one thing I kept.
That's the first. I'll have to go back and watch that one.
That's what I'm telling you. I was like Lightning McQueen is Brad Pitt. Except it kind of happens in the reverse. Cruz Ramirez is Damson Idris, and in this movie, Damson kind of gives up the lead in order to have Brad have his moment, where Lightning gives up his moment to have.
I gotta go back and watch that tonight. It's the first thing I'm doing.
Double feature, F1 and Cars 3. But yeah, so I love the underdog story of this. I love the ragtag group. Again, I'm always making jokes. I'm like, this ragtag team is like the little giants if they grew up, got hot, got millions of dollars, and then started racing very expensive cars. So, but I want to throw this question over to Damson, right? Because when it comes to, I did some studying on you, man. Young man from Peckham. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you played football and rugby growing up. And you know a little thing or two about having a competitive edge and being an underdog and things of that sort. And this is your first movie, like acting with Brad Pitt, who is just a force. And what I know about actors is that you tend to push each other, like to get the best scene, to get the best out of each other. Now, being a competitor as you are, did your competitive edge start to come out when it came to being in a scene with Brad Pitt? Did you guys push each other?
No, yes. No. You know what? Brad was such a giving actor, and he actually just wants you to win. So he's the type of person that as soon as you're on set, he knows, okay, how could I have Damson at equal footing with me? And he was doing that every step of the way. He was adding scenes that weren't in the script initially. We were talking about ways to beef up the character of Joshua. So yeah, it wasn't too much. It was me competing with Brad and him not competing with me.
How many of those scenes, because now I'm just seeing Brad like getting in your face, and that's real, that's not acting, that's actually him getting in your face, but how many of like, do you have like a moment where Brad kind of like pushed you to be like the best that you can be? Is there one that kind of sticks out in your mind?
Damn, everyone, man, whether the scene was big or small, like just watching Brad and his process and just how much he cares, it really just motivates you to give your all. And that's what I love about this movie. Everyone brought their A game in every single category of the movie, down to whoever. And Brad was, you know, a fantastic leader for us actors, and also as a producer as well. I just learned so much from him. And the scene, I mean, he's so unpredictable. Like every take is completely different. Yeah, and yeah, Joe knows. Like,
That's great. It was really fun watching them work together. I'm just thinking about that scene after Spa. In the hallway, where you really got under his skin. It was fun.
Yeah. He was really gonna knock me out in that scene. I was smiling in his face and stuff. And, you know.
Listen, you have a great smile, but that was the best shit-eating grin I've ever seen. I was like, this motherfucker, get out of here. I want to punch myself. But you still have so much charisma with it, so you still made it work, so that's great. It takes a lot to do something like that, and still everybody walks out of the movie loving your character. So, you know, that's, you know, big ups to you, man, on that. Big ups to you, for sure. I want to move this over to Kerry. So again, I mentioned that, like, you know, going into this film for the first time, I didn't really know a lot about F1 racing, right? Not really a big car guy. Like, if I saw a Nissan on the street, I won't know it's a Nissan. But I feel like you, as the technical director, you kind of have like a lot of the responsibility of like kind of like teaching the audience like what is happening, what is going on, teaching them a little bit about F1. As an actress, when it comes to the research of this, what was that like? Was it daunting? Did you take to it like a fish to water? Like, how did the research go on that one?
I didn't know when I was making it that I was going to be explaining to the audience what was going on. You know, that's just kind of how it came out, I suppose, in the edit. I mean, maybe you knew, Joe, but I was just playing Kate, you know. I wasn't really thinking of the audience watching me or whatever.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, it's not my job to be thinking of me. So, but I did, like, obviously there was technical stuff. There was a lot of technical stuff. And I was like you, I didn't know anything about F1. I knew about cars and things like that, and I was interested in cars, but I didn't know anything about F1. So I had somebody, they sent us, they were nice enough to send us to a Grand Prix, and I had a girl, Bernie Collins, who is her real life Kate, and she explained to me stuff. But like, you have to be careful. Sometimes like you can get so much information that next thing like you don't know what you're doing anymore. You're not even acting. You're just trying to like. So she was good. Like, she kind of knew when it was like overwhelming for me. So we would baby step it in terms of like this scene. Like, explain to me what the wind tunnel is. Why am I in the wind? Like, what's going on? Little bits like that. Because, you know, I don't have to build a car, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in a movie, like, so there was only so far I took it, and then I was like, okay, and then I need to just be free and remember. And I read a book too, like how to build a car, that was...
It's a really great book.
It is a really great book.
We have 2 reading reviews right here. It's a great book.
Adrian Newey,
Yes.
is the engineer, and he
Wrote a
book on how to
book.
build a car about F1.
Big heavy book, I was lugging it
I was
everywhere.
very impressed that you read it. At least you were carrying it around. I didn't know if you were actually reading it.
It was hard.
You were showing off a little bit, putting a big
It's
book.
the hardback as well, yeah. So yeah, that's what I did, and then, you know, just the words, making them sound like I say them a million times a day, you know, that the words are so familiar, like, that they would sound like somebody saying them all the time, little things like that.
Okay, so if someone was to ask you a little bit, you can like basically have surface level conversations. It's almost like getting fluent in a language, right? Where you kind of like know a little bit of what she's saying.
I'm gauging him. He's shady. He's about to catch me.
I know,
Just get ready for
and I'm gonna be
I told you,
back.
I don't know anything about F1 at all. I just know what you taught me 5 seconds ago, so you're good.
When somebody else would try and explain things to me, honest to God, I just would be like, beep, like what? And then I was like, basically it's the wind going over the car. That's basically all I remember, and how that happens quick. That was basically all I learned.
Right, okay. So I really want to know, because now I want to open this up to the group, like what was the most surprising thing you found out about F1 when it came to making this movie? Because I found out there was a lot of things, like the whole idea of combat. I was like, combat in racing, that sounds highly dangerous. I wouldn't want to do that. And it just kind of speaks to just how much of a high stakes sport it is. What was some of the most surprising revelations you got when it came to learning about F1?
I think that it's the only sport in the world where your teammate is your competitor, which is unusual. And there's only 10 teams, 2 drivers to each team. And these are the best drivers in the world. And they start when they're 5, 6 years old in go-karting. And then if they're really talented, by 11 or 12, they go to usually Italy, where there's a big competition, and you move yourself up from F4, F3, F2, and finally, if you're good enough, to F1. But the way they pick these drivers is, first of all, they represent a brand. Second of all, they have to be a phenomenal driver, they have to be charismatic, and they have to be good looking.
No!
Check.
That's why they hired me.
Oh my God!
That's what the check was for.
Really?
So I can't get behind an F1 is what you're saying. Right? Sorry, Straw Hat, you can't drive.
The traveling was new. Well, it was something I was like, oh, because we followed the circuit, but not all of the circuit, and it was a lot. Like it was a lot to all those time zones, and just the traveling, and then that kind of blew my mind. I was like, they're traveling for like 9, 10 months of the year, and then they get off the plane, and they have to go win, you know, and then pack up and go and do it again. And that to me, I was like, God, it's kind of harder than it looks, you know. It's more grueling than it looks, I think.
You know, I can feel it. Watching like Brad and Damson work out, I was like, there's a lot that goes in, you know. I bet you initially people think that, you know, driving just involves sitting in the car and having like excellent timing, but there's a lot of physical toll that it takes on the body as well. And I think like those training montages, I whispered in your ear over there, I said, you're Rocky, baby. Like, you're basically Rocky doing all these training montages. And it was just so like eye-opening to see that. That was kind of the biggest revelation for me watching this film, right? How much preparation, not just like mentally, but just physically you have to be in order to get behind that wheel. In terms of, I want to throw this question over to Jerry now because, you know, we've talked about how much you're a legend, like you've directed many films, you've produced many films, but I want to know from you, like what makes F1 different from any other film that you've kind of like been a part of?
It's always the emotion. It's to create that internal emotion that we can give you a ride through this movie. And when you have a director like Joe who understands that, and he's a visual artist, and he brings all these characters to life, and we give you this phenomenal character ride. We spend time with each character, tell you who they are, what they're about, and their journey. And the fact what they have to go through to complete that journey. And that's the emotion of this movie. And the reason this movie's become such a big hit, besides the fact that we have phenomenal actors, it's a terrific story, and a great director, it's we move the audience. We transport them from one place to another. And that's why I love this business. I love being here in this theater, watching you enjoy this, where all these people work so hard to bring this to you. Over 2 years, this movie took over 2 years to make, just to make, because we had 2 strikes, the writers went out and the actors went out. So we had to go to all these tracks twice around the world. They gave up their careers, and Brad and Damson, because Joe wanted them to be actually driving these cars. They spent 4 months learning how to drive these cars. It looks easy. Listen, the seat is molded to your body. I mean, just think about that. They are phenomenal. They're going 180 miles an hour, and when they hit those corners, they have to brake down to 50. And the person who brakes the closest to the wall is the one who usually takes the lead. And the scariest part for me as a producer was when we went to Vegas. In Vegas, there's no runoff. So when you hit those corners, if you miss those corners, you're into the wall. And these guys pulled it off. It's unbelievable what they did with the speed. And you have to act. Not only do they have to drive these cars, learn how to drive these cars, they had to actually act and remember their lines and do it over and over again. Because Joe's very particular, he wants it perfect. There's nothing in this movie that Joe didn't redo and make sure it was perfect.
Yeah, if you work with Joe, you're gonna get in the vehicle. You're gonna get in a fast vehicle. And that's kind of like goes with the territory. But now I want to throw this over to Damson because I'm very interested. Getting behind the wheel of that car, learning everything. Talk to me about that process, man, because we talk about how physically like grueling it is on the body. Like, I want to know your experience with that, man.
So I always kind of loved fast cars just from even being young, like Porsches, M3s, GT turbos. So when I showed up, I had a bit of cockiness, like, it's gonna be a breeze. And then it wasn't. And the audition actually was in Bedford Palmer Sports in England, where I had to get in the F3000 cars, a one-seater, and it was kind of wet that day. And that was the test to be able to be in the film. And I think we read that one time, I think, in London. And then we transitioned from F3 cars all the way up to our F2 modified cars. And me and Brad were behind the wheel for about 4 to 5 months. But throughout the 2 years of filming, we were always basically training. And if you watch the movie, it is me trying not to die. Like, that is like, it's actually insane because you talk about saying your lines, but the specificity of this is to a T. Damson, say your line when you're going under that tunnel. So you're going around the track, and remember, we'd have to go around the track and say the line at that specific place on the track. And if you don't do it good, you got to go around and do it again. And then also, remember, all you see is our eyes. So, so you can say the line, and it's just the eyes, and I'm like, yeah, plan C is for chaos. Nothing's happening. So then Joe's like, yo, you gotta do more with your eyes. So I'm like, plan C is for chaos. And then Joe's like, that was great. Like a blink was an Oscar performance. You know, so there was just so many elements that went into driving it. But when you watch the movie, that authenticity was real. And I mean, that's why I wanted to be a part of this, you know, and that's why I got into movies, to take on different challenges and take on different tools. And now I'm basically a Formula One driver.
Basically. Little quick story, and I want to tell you this, Joe, because I actually did this for your last movie, Top Gun Maverick. They invited a bunch of influencers out to Porsche, the headquarters, out in, I believe it was like Torrance or something like that? Carson, yes. And they had us drive Porsches. They said, hey, put the pedal to the metal, go as fast as you want, like, don't worry about it, everything's good. And I'm thinking, I'm going split the wind. I'm like, yeah, baby, like, you know, put my thing. I was going so slow. Because it's scary back there, right? I'm like, one, I don't want to wreck the car. Two, the speed will kick you back and do all these things. And I'm walking out, my post was I walk out, I said, let me see the camera, let me see the video. And you just see this car just going around the track, everyone's lapping me. So like, I know getting behind that car and going full pedal to the metal, it takes a lot. So that's why I can't be a Formula One driver. That, and I'm not handsome like Jerry says. What I also want to get into, this is since Brad's not here, we got to give him some love. We got to throw him some love here because he's phenomenal in this movie, man. And a shocking fact that I read was that this is his highest grossing movie ever. Brad Pitt. like when you think about that, it's like, really? Like this, like not like this one I give him a Brad, but it's like he's had so many movies, right? And like 2025 is his highest grossing movie ever. What is it like being part of like that legacy of Brad and like being a part of like a movie that kind of like gives him that milestone?
Feels dope as shit.
Yeah, it does.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Feels pretty amazing. I've been a huge fan of Brad my entire life. One of my favorite movies of his is Troy, which is also close to this number, World War Z, I love, Fight Club, come on now. Seven, like War, Oceans, every performance, he just transports you, and it's just so effortlessly cool and charismatic, and I'm standing on his shoulders, and to be a part of this with him, I mean, it's the best experience in the world.
Okay, I want to throw this out to everyone because, you know, I feel like we all have a Brad performance that we just hold so close, one that just kind of like sticks in our mind, changes our brain chemistry, as I would like to say. Kerry, I want to start with you. Well, what is a Brad Pitt performance that just kind of grabbed you and didn't let you go? I'll start like with mine. I'll just say like, his performance in True Romance. It's a small role, you know, he's Floyd, yes, Floyd, the burnout. It's a very small role, but like I saw that and I just wanted a whole stoner comedy with Brad Pitt off of that. Like he was just so good in it.
I suppose it would be like a tie between Burn After Reading, because you know, to do comedy is like, that's another string to his bow. That was kind of like, oh wow, like that, you really nailed the comedy there. And then Seven. Because you know, there's a stillness in Seven that's harder than it looks. You know what I mean? Sometimes doing less is actually a lot harder, and he's quite still in that. And I like, and naive as well. And I like that performance.
I love it, love it. What about you, Joe?
I was gonna say Seven.
Yeah, sorry.
But, you know, another, I love Snatch.
Ooh,
yes.
Really cool movie. Amazing. So yeah, I'll take that one.
All right.
Well, I had to pick Fight Club. That was really
Oh
good.
yeah, that's a good picture.
Somebody here had a Fight Club shirt, right? Like I could have said, there he is. That's Gucci. Already winning. I love it. Okay, so we all got our Brad Pitt love out the way. Get out of here, Brad. But another thing that I find very interesting about this movie, because you know you hear things, and I know that this movie had a very interesting journey to finally get on screen. Like Jerry, maybe you could speak more to this since you've been seeing it from beginning to end. But I heard that Tom Cruise was once attached to this film as well. Is that true? Can I?
Not true.
Not true. Okay. Okay.
Start there.
Okay, great, awesome. Out the way, we can strike the record, excellent. But can you really talk to me about kind of like the inception of the idea, what drew you to it? Like, how did F1 get greenlit? Like, I really want to know this story, man.
Well, it all started with Joe coming to me when we were finishing Top Gun Maverick. And he said, I've been watching Drive to Survive, and I've worked out this story about this last place team. And Joe had met Lewis Hamilton on Top Gun because he wanted to be one of the actors. And when Joe explained to him that we're gonna need him for 4 months, he says, I got a real job I gotta go to. So I couldn't do it. So the first thing Joe did was call Lewis and said, you know, we have this idea and would you like to meet us for lunch? So we met here in Hollywood, and Joe explained the story that he wanted to bring to the screen about F1. And we asked Lewis, would he produce it with us? And he said, sure, I'd love to. Then Joe got a hold of Brad because they almost worked together on another movie. And he said, look, we have this idea, here's the story. And Brad said, I'm in, I want to do it. But the one caveat is I have to drive the cars, no matter what. So once we had that, then we worked out the story with Aaron Kruger, who wrote Top Gun Maverick. And then we took it around to, what was it, 9 studios, Joe?
Yeah.
9 studios, pitched the story with Brad and with all of our guys, and all of them bid on it. And Apple was the one who raised their hand and said, we want to do the movie the way you want to do it. We want these actors really to drive, we're going to do it the right way, and we're going to give you a big theatrical release. And I think we're in our 8th week, so they kept their word. Yeah, so it's amazing, and that's what we have on the screen is thanks to Apple and the hard work of everybody on the stage.
Oh, love it, love it. And guys, we just witnessed something incredible, right? Like F1 is, you know, breaking records, hitting milestones. Like, and I'm looking at you guys, and I'm like, how do you guys even like do this and just keep your cool? Like, you guys are just always on to the next thing, and I would be living off of this for the rest of my life. I wouldn't make another movie after F1. This would be my greatest one-hit wonder, man. But I think like that's almost all the time that we have left. But we do have something special. We have a little giveaway that is happening right now. So there was a little bit of what I heard was a raffle that happened. Not really a raffle, but something very clever. So please, if you're sitting in the seat F1, please stand up. Someone who sat in F1, please, there she is. What you have just won is an exclusive poster for F1 that is signed by everybody that you see here on this Q&A, including Brad Pitt, who actually signed it. Where was he at? In Japan. So Brad Pitt's finger that was in Japan signed that poster. So congratulations.
Decorating my wall. Posters. I was just with my friends, so this is going.
All right, and what's your name?
Jackie.
Jackie, everybody. Give a hand for Jackie. Thank you so much for coming. And guys, thank you so much for talking.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. All right, make sure you guys please hold your seats and let everyone kind of like leave.